I do want to go ahead and let's talk about this staff situation we got going on because it is very interesting. We talked about 4 finalist names the other day. The one name that I said I didn't want seems to be in the lead. It's besides the point. Our man Zach Alberti on the case, as usual. Okay, dialed in, ready to go. I really want to break down this article because there's so many key points to this. And again, I find it very interesting. So, he says they interviewed for 4 candidates in the front office position. Here's what's important, because on whatever day it was, Saturday, I think it was, when we talked about this, we talked about what the GM roles entails. Okay? We talked about the 5 things that it has, whether it's like managing budget, contracts, evaluating talent. And that's where, we're sitting here talking about amongst ourselves, like, hey, who do we think would be best suited for this? Well, based on what the role entails, what we know, here's what I think. I also said, I go, but we don't know if that's what they're asking this person to necessarily do. We got some clarification. Thank you to Zach Alberti on 3. The candidates for the GM, okay, yeah, so the position they're looking to hire, which will manage the salary cap and negotiate contracts. That's it. That's all we got. Salary cap's going to be interesting. We're going to talk about that too, because I mentioned that on Saturday because we've heard about this new rule rolling out, which seems to be going into effect July 25th. This entire article that Zach wrote up, phenomenal, very informative on this entire landscape of where college football is headed. Love this thing through and through. I usually like to read articles verbatim, but this one has so many key points that we've been talking about that this clears up a lot of things that I want to kind of go down the rabbit hole with you guys. The candidates for the GM type role will not have the title general manager. Another very interesting case. And as I'm going, I actually retweeted this guy's tweet, and I looked at his thing. I go, man, his title's general manager. Like, what is a general manager of what? Because we're hiring the GM. So Jacob LaFrance is already the general manager. So the 4 candidates that we talked about the other day apparently will not be carrying that name of GM. I don't know what it's going to be, but that we do know. And again, Jacob LaFrance is technically already the GM. Will he be their boss? I don't know. It's crazy. But they're also expected to hire more. And again, this is supposed to happen this month. So, and there'll be more than one person. The other thing, which we did talk about, is they're going to be basically a VP for football. So, kind of like how I mentioned this, and I said this on Saturday, where somebody that just looks over football, right? Like the vice president of football. So you got VP, then you've got Jacob LaFrance, you got this new person that not named a GM, and then of course all of football under the VP, and that VP reports to Strickland, but at least there's some separation, right? There's a guy that is just strictly in charge of funding, and he controls that entire umbrella, versus right now, which we've complained about, is Strickland. And I said this, I go, look, if you just leave Strickland, I think overall perspective, maybe big idea, big brand, sure, maybe he's, people like what he's done, not everyone has, but let's just take the politics out of this and let's leave it at that, right? But take him away from it and just allow one guy to manage this entire process, because that's how big football is. It needs its own umbrella. We know this, you know this, we've talked about this. So that seems to be another thing that will be happening. Now, here's what's also important, okay? Because, like I just mentioned, July 1st, 2025, schools will operate under the new projected cap of $20.5 million. So this is what's interesting to me, right? Is we saw a lot of schools this past cycle, Texas Tech, Florida State, a lot of schools go out and spend a lot of money. Interesting, because Ohio State, we know they spent $20 million in NIL alone, right? Basically in the portal. Well, who do they go get for recruiting? It's playoff time, and it's now or never. Don't miss out on the last few weeks of football action with Prize Picks, the best place to win cash while watching the playoffs. And right now, you can win up to 1,000 times your money on Prize Picks. And Prize Picks now offers MasterCards for quick and easy deposits for your account this sports season. Now, there may not be football on tonight or the next few nights, but there are plenty of other things that you can get in the action on. This was my lineup for Sunday. I felt pretty confident about it. Let me know your thoughts. Did you like this? Fantastic game between these two matchups. Again, for that last and final seed. But be sure to use Prize Picks all offseason, all postseason long, and after that by using the code Hightop when you sign up. And when you play your first $5, you get back $50 in return. You don't have to win or lose. It goes back in there instantly, guaranteed when you use the code Hightop. Price Picks, again, use the code Hightop. Play your first $5, get $50 back when you use the code Hightop. Price Picks, run your game. Now back to the show. So what happens if you're over this projected cap? Is it like in regular football, you just pay a penalty and you keep it moving? Because from my feel, now, the first year probably gets overlooked, right? And I even kind of foreshadowed this, I think 2 days ago, where I go, look, we get frustrated because Florida's not buying all these guys. But here it comes in just 6 months. A lot of these schools that we're seeing signing all these checks, Oregon, another one, right? It's going to be irrelevant because they're going to be capped anyways. That's how I'm looking at this. Very interesting stuff. Now, here's another one. They're looking to have an in-house marketing agency, which I love, which is, you think is that Florida victorious? But again, it seems very separate. It's going to have another department that they're going to be rocking with at UF. Right here. They're looking to employ Gator Nation with the initiative to help navigate what will be a different NIL market once revenue share goes into effect. What I love about the new NIL market, they're right here. So the new in-housing market will be able to facilitate more true endorsement deals for the football players, which was the original intent behind NIL. So this new in-housing market agency / just team dedicated to NIL, which sounds like it's going to be separate from Florida Victorious, because Florida Victorious is big umbrella, right? The entire scope. There's going to be maybe like Florida Victorious 2.0. That's just football related. That's just focused on facilitating big brand deals. One of the big deals that I found out about by reading this is Jake Slaughter reached a Hellman's Mayonnaise deal, which will have him in an ad this year. And that's what NIL is always supposed to be. The big guys, the heavy hitters, the ones that have earned bricks. They get to go out there. The Gatorade Player of the Year. They're going to be in the Nike commercials. They're going to be in the Gatorade commercials, the helmet commercials, right? Because of their brand, because of how great they are. They've been able to establish, like, hey, we throw this cat on a Hellman's mayonnaise bottle in Gainesville, Florida. The thing's going to sell like hotcakes because we all know Jake Slaughter. Versus just promising these high school kids the world on a ridiculous NIL deal that wasn't really. Do you remember the Jaden Rashada deal? Rashada's also moving on to his 10th school, by the way, where there was details that came out, the $13.5 million or whatever it was, and part of the NIL requirement was for him to sign autographs and like take photos and do all these things, right? That was the NIL part. That was a name, image, and likeness part, which was a joke. Because again, when we were pitched the idea of NIL, the whole point of it was like we make money off of your name, image, and likeness, off of how popular you are. So if you go out there and you kick ass, you get to sell cards, jerseys, maybe big brands will reach out to you. Like that was always the initiative of this thing. And obviously it got to the point to where it is right now. Need to reel back a little bit. Need to find a little happy medium. I think we can all agree on that. Whether you like this new concept or not, it's happening. So you're not liking it. Either you just don't watch it anymore. You have to kind of go with the times. I'm all for the times. I just want a healthy balance. I want a healthy balance so we can enjoy the game as is. And the people that have earned the right get the right to do those things. So very interesting things here. Very interesting stuff. We've talked about how busy it's going to be in the month of January with movements on all kinds of things. So we'll see. I haven't read any of your comments, so we'll see. Let's see here. You're arguing about all kinds of stuff. I didn't know if anyone's had any thoughts on what we just went over, but all things, they're talking about the GM. Okay, they're just arguing. Nobody has a clue what's going on. Zach said Gator fans will be happy. Nothing about Kelly will make Gator fans happy. All right, anyways, so all those things I think are very intriguing things. I like hearing the fact that this $20.5 million cap will be in effect come July 1st. I have more questions because I think this is the way. This is how you clean up what we're calling the Wild Wild West. Now, you can't have it to where it's just a penalty, kind of like in baseball where you just pay a $5 million fine and can continue to oversee the cap. So that'll be interesting to know. I have questions on these. And this is where the NCAA, again, this whole big deal, this is how these guys operate, man. Like, I love kind of learning about big business. Peaky Blinders, I watch that show. It shows you kind of the very old fashioned way, but it's all of it's rings very true to how that he operates that, right? And the point of it, what I'm getting at is the NCAA is big business, and they saw what was happening, that they were starting to lose control of what they once owned, which is college football. When they were being sued and pushed back and basically had no say in the matter because of this third-party NIL nonsense, and they're like, we are losing the game that we've controlled for the last 20 plus, 40, 50 plus years. We got to figure it out. So they basically swallow the ego pill, agreed on this deal. They're paying back X amount of dollars for whatever reason, but paid millions upon millions. I think there's a B involved with it to get control back of college football. And the salary cap was part of those rules. And so it's back onto them now to manage a salary cap, which we all know in the history of NCAA, them managing stuff and keeping people accountable there is no line. It's whenever they get bored and get frustrated and they just kind of snap. So, we'll see. We'll see. I think here's why again, stay with me, okay? In a perfect world, if the $20 million is, the cap, then what comes next, right? Well, okay, so if everyone's just paying $20 million, like how does somebody separate themselves from everybody else? Well, evaluating talent again, recruiting at an elite level, convincing guys maybe to take a little bit less than what they're projected to be worth to come play with you, right? All those things. And then the other part, which is what we're hearing about now, is that how good is your team? How good is your in-house agency at landing the big dogs, massive NIL opportunities, actually legitimate NIL opportunities? Like, hey, this cat had over 1,000 yards and we landed him, boom, 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 boom. Like that, and that's cool. I love that. And that's where Florida is heading of like, I feel like maybe we're behind, but this is a move in the right direction of like, okay, we see this. And it may not be something that we see next year, but maybe 2 years from now, because this rule, even though it's applied in July, I see loopholes already going through this. But that's what's going to be important. That's how you're going, and in a sense, get back to that old-fashioned way of, look, how do you recruit? An NIL agency is very similar, and landing big NIL deals is similar to having, a great gym. Just another selling aspect. It goes back to that way, to like, this place is cool to play at. They're up in their facilities, all those great things, because the money was flat, money was even, and so that kind of brings back again the old feel just a little bit. I don't think we need to go back that way. Now, I've also made the joke that you're going to go back to the bag man, which is possible, which is very possible. But again, we'll see. It's going to be on the NCAA to keep it.